Chilly here with Sirius Dallas Moon. This is Jupiter hour, Mars day, and the midheavens 29 degrees Libra. So we are approaching the new moon in Libra with Venus on Vendiametrics. And here's the thing, new moon is new beginning. And so a lot of the things that are beginning now are dealing with some sort of purification crisis. And what do I mean by that? I talked about the fact that there are a lot of hard aspects to this new moon. In fact, there is no harmonious aspect to this new moon. Okay? And this is particularly challenging for those that like to have everything refined, balanced, or to have even a set of rules that guide them. And you'd be surprised because this time it's the controlled chaos people that are having a breakdown. And they're not having a breakdown because somebody developed a systematic way to deal with their methods. They're having a breakdown because an organic system will always display patterns that cannot be imitated or fully controlled. Libra is where Saturn exalts, but Saturn is actually closer to its fall. Okay, it's closer to Aries. And there's nothing that says new rules that may or may not stand the test of time, like Saturn in Aries. Now, this is where, let's just put it that way. If, for example, dark occult was used by slaves to liberate themselves from oppression, and then somebody took practitioners and said, okay, we will pay you so and so to target so and so. Now, that quality is taken out of its original context into something that tries to imitate the context of liberation from slavery, but in the context of enslaving. So, yes, thank you. Oh yeah. Oh wait. Oak, please. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's taken something out of the original context in which it was created and trying to recreate that, but not in a compatible unit to the ontological unit of the situation upon which that was activated. And that context matters. Now, we're going to also have unusual features where a white targeted individual might be inclined to use rap music, and it will be more relevant than a black targeting individual. Okay, now here's the thing. Up until that point where, let's say if we talk about, let's take Libra loves the 0-1, okay, the binary divisions. This is also where it's weakness of Libra, because it's difficult to balance, okay, the zeros and the ones. But let's take black and white, okay? A black person given money from the police to target a white person to be homeless. Now, first of all, they don't only target white people, but let's pretend that's the situation. And it's not always black people that target. That's, of course, it's obvious. But let's just take that situation. Up until the point where the black person was basically taking the white person who may have made money upon the opportunities that would have been of black people and so on and so forth, up until that point is okay. But from that point, what would happen is that that white person will begin to summon guidance, even if by miracle. It also works. We saw the opposition to Aries. Okay, think about the person that makes a mess because they were disincluded from the table. Okay, made a mess, now they're sitting at the table. If all the tools in their toolbox is to make a mess and chaos to try to benefit from that, think about the Rockefellers, but particularly the Rothschilds. When they were a family where they were the disincluded from the table, they had to learn how currency works because they were excluded from trade. Up until the point where they were the excluded, not even persecuted necessarily, just excluded from the trade, they could grow and develop the perspective of somebody that watches how those people that didn't invite them to the table operate and then throw an apple at them. Now they could perfect that as long as those were tables that they were not invited into. Now what happens when the table is the Rothschilds and the people that are not invited to the table are the people that care for sexual sovereignty, because they would only be invited as the food. Now the Aries placement have changed to different identity. It's also when they are acting to target individuals. And there's another point. If a person is oppressing, if it's slavery position, okay, the oppressor needs to be taken down. That's normal. But if it's fertility, for example, you understand the difference, okay? Now, there's another thing to consider, and this is that there are imbalances of power that are not always easily predicted. Sun is what we can see, but not all the things are around what is visible. let's say people see woman living alone, they assume this woman must be sleeping with men to get money to live alone, and she doesn't have partner because of her line of work. What if that woman is living alone because she's not interested in those type of relations? Now the people that try to okay, the people that project certain thing, that they see something and they give interpretation to that something wrong, that they might find out that they have targeted the person that is a tickling bomb. A tickling, not a bomb. You know the Tsar Bomba? Think Ivan the Terrible in a woman, but acting normal, because she doesn't want to explode that Tsar Bomba that she has on society. Now, Libra usually balances the things, the scale, with either raising the voice, raising awareness, or changing how something looks. For example, the diplomatic Libra, let's say person's targeted individual. Then a Libra might say, okay, let's try to think how to dress more elegantly, how to look at the social media, just the cat videos and the this and the that, how to supposedly not give anybody a reason to suspect one, to profile someone. But what do we learn around the Libra scale? That it's not about what someone is wearing, and it's not about whether someone is looking or not looking at certain political videos, and it's not about whether someone is on social media or not on social media. That those Libra solutions, and by the way, unfortunately, Libra is also the juristic system. Why unfortunately? Unfortunately, because at the first, when people complain about things happening to them, they would be, how did you behave? What were you wearing? Okay, they would try to correct the person rather than correct what was done to them. Because if they start to correct what was done to them, they touch at the core of how they create wars. And why none of the wars seems to help. None of the paradigm seems to help. Why is a situation where when a person has completely done trying to adapt their look, appearance, or behavior to what will be perceived by the oppressors? This is how Soviet Russia fell. Because when somebody's done trying to adjust their personality, their behavior, their this, their that, to something that's not who they are, then they're done. And all attempts to get them to are not going to cause anything but the megalithic downfall of those that build their fortune on believing that they can make a people be not who they are. Rape is attempt to make somebody not who they are. Violence is attempt to make somebody not who they are. And people are done trying to be something that they're not. One will never succeed. You know, people will never have loving relationships, satisfying jobs, houses that are actually housing, but trying to be something that they're not. Now, if they torture people, it's an act of trying to make someone be something that they're not. And they will never have countries where they can be who they are if the countries try to make them someone they're not, supposedly for the motherland. The motherland is the oil company that infiltrates the country and the sovereignty and the family under the guise of traditional family values. Now trying to project onto someone, to forcibly project an image onto someone, will not turn them not to that image, not to the opposite of that image either. But it will explode the Pentagon, the Kremlin, China, Israel, Palestine, Europe, Africa, United States, everything. Because it's done on a global level to targeted individuals.